Well, apparently what has not been awesome lately, Brian, is the cognitive abilities or the discerning abilities of our friend Uncle Dave Meltzer, who seems to not be able to discern fact from fiction anymore. And it's kind of blown up this week with this story that it sounds ridiculous to say it out loud, but it happened. Somebody sent Dave a clip of a video of Triple H and The Rock from like 10 years ago doing a promo backstage somewhere and challenging each other or whatever, like they were going to fight at WrestleMania. And told him it was like, what, this last week when they were in whatever town they were in doing the fucking deal, right?
Vegas.
In Vegas. And he ran with it. He ran with the scoop all the way until he ran from the scoop when everybody started laughing at him. They sent him the video. They were 10 years younger. Have there been, I know they're in good shape for their ages, right? But there have been no changes. There's been no changes in production. You couldn't instantly tell if this is your line of work, this is your business to cover this stuff, that this was 10 years ago.
Well, why don't we spell it out for the listeners? Because what happened was, after everything, like you said, that happened in Vegas, Dave Meltzer in The Observer put, and this is on page 4 for anyone who has a...
Wait, and an unredacted copy, because we'll get to that later. It don't say this no more.
The storyline they are doing now is that Johnson, as a member of the board of directors, is seemingly in a battle for power with Paul Levesque, the COO, who is now going as Paul Triple H Levesque, even on television. At the Mania press conference on February 8th in Las Vegas, Levesque talked about guys going into business for themselves, with the idea Rock was going against the planned script. Later, they filmed a segment, which didn't air on television, but was all over social media.
All over social media!
Where Levesque and Rock went nose to nose and actually challenged each other for a match at Mania. Although it was they would love to each other. Hold on. I swear to God, this is how it's written. Although it was they would love to each other before a giant crowd at WrestleMania. That is what it says, right? I'm not having a stroke.
Come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody love each other. We're going to love each other.
Although it was they would love Although it was they would love to each other before a giant crowd at WrestleMania, without the idea it was this specific one. Given Levesque's heart issues, such a match would seem to be impossible. And virtually everyone believed that to be the case. The fact it was never put on television says it was not something they wanted to hammer home as a storyline, and more was a way to make people think that the two weren't getting along, with the idea that aspect of the angle was real, and real is in quotes.
It was 10 years ago. It was on one of these reunion show or the Raw Legends Come Back or whatever. And they did 10 years ago. He thought it was last Tuesday.
I guess Vince is booking again. I want you guys to make love to each other. What the fuck? What was Dave writing there?
I think he left out the word fight, but it led to even more confusion that he was already suffering. Because... again, the main part of the story is people said, what? What is he talking about? And come to find out, it's a clip that they did 10 years ago that he was referring to. And it probably did air on TV back then. Was there a fucking social media that, whatever the fuck? Point is, so he wrote that and sent his publication out to its consumers. And then people apparently, I don't know, called attention to what the fuck? Because on its face, it didn't read like something that would have happened. And then instead of Well, I don't know whether he could. You can obviously we now know he can go back and change the issue instead of putting correction. This was originally reported, but blah blah blah. He just deleted it. It ain't there no more.
You know, every day on the wrestling news, if there's anything we get wrong, we have a section called corrections, where we'll point out anything, even if it's minor, that we got wrong. That's all you have to do there. We had previously reported this. That was reported in error. Explain yourself. Apologize. That's it.
And is he going to do it in next week's issue? It would seem that if he can go back and change the issue that's currently out, even he couldn't take it back from what he had sent out, but on his sources or site or board or however the fucking kids get this thing, you can't find it anymore written like that. That whole part's been deleted. But he obviously, Brian, you just saw these fucking guys and what they look like this goddamn week. How could you fall for a 10-year-old fucking video?
Yeah, Triple H looks a lot younger and he had no beard. Or at least nothing to speak of like he does now where it's a long one. And The Rock looks like he's 3 times the size as he used to be.
Yeah, you're right there. You know, we're in modern times. The Rock is 50. He's got to be twice as big as he was when he was 40. But this is not, I guess, the first time. Well, we talked about on one of the programs we did recently, Dave's confusion and or, just blurting stuff out without getting to the root of it here lately, where he had to come back at the week after he wrote that the morale in the AEW locker room has never been greater. He came back the following week and let me just add that everybody's scared shitless that they're all going under, but it's
They all get along as well as they ever have. It's just collectively they're all miserable.
Yes. And then apparently with the sudden and abrupt severing of Scott D'Amore from TNA land, well, Dave was right there on the spot reporting that, well, now Tommy Dreamer will be the head of creative. But that declaration apparently was denied by Tommy Dreamer, who said, no, I'm not running anything. What are you talking about?
Why didn't you call me, Dave? That's all you had to say. Why didn't you call me and ask me?
Are people now just sending him stuff to see how far he'll go with printing shit, whether there's anything to it or not? Or is he just losing his ability to differentiate fact from fiction these days?
I don't know, because the Triple H Rock thing, he specifically cited that it was all over social media. So we don't know if anyone sent that to him or if he just bumped into it online and thought it was in the moment. With the TNA story, you could fact check that pretty simply, can't you?
And again, D'Amore's, he was president of TNA. Even if he had his hand in everything, it would change nothing about the creative team. If the president, they would still be working under someone. And if they weren't fired, they would still be in the same positions they were in, would they not? It's not, it's not like a fucking, Colonel Mustard got him with a fucking candlestick in the drawing room, so now you're it.
Well, again, Dave reported that Tommy Dreamer was taking over as the head of TNA's creative team. Tommy Dreamer came out and said that isn't true. Nothing's really changing. He's involved with it. Delirious is still involved with it. Robert Evans, whoever that is, not the famous Robert Evans.
No, actually, I know this Robert Evans. He's a nice young man. He came to one of our Ring of Honor camps years ago. Apparently got into the writing aspect. Was not a bodybuilder par excellence or a giant or anything like that. Just a normal physique, I think, was his drawback. But
it'd be nice if it was the real Robert Evans.
Well, then at least
I told Polanski to go fuck himself, and then I hired Russo.
It'd be a more cinematic approach to things. But if they knew what they were doing, Delirious would be the head of creative. But nevertheless.
Well, apparently the new head of, there's a whole bunch of names here. Former general manager of the Fight Network, or Fight Network if there's no the, Ariel Schneerer, forgive me, Ariel,
Sure.
SHNERER.
E-I-E-I-O.
Schneerer. Maybe. Ariel Schneerer will oversee all content and work closely with the newly appointed TNA president, Anthony Chicone? Chicone? I don't know who any of these fucking people are.
Wait a minute, he's the one. No, that guy, Chicone, he's the one that did the soundtrack for all those spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood.
And again, the former general manager of the Fight Network and Mr. Chicone will be working together on all talent and creative decisions.
That's why everybody over there is writing letters. They're like, what the fuck? Who are these people? It's like letting Cornette make decisions at NASA. What the fuck? Has anybody ever heard of these fucking people before? How are they supposed to evaluate? I'm not a judge on the goddamn. Now I've lost the goddamn the singing contest, American Idol. Thank you. I'm old. I'm not a judge on American Idol because I don't know how to judge people singing because I don't know anything about singing except I'm a talented amateur.
You know nothing about singing. We could agree on that.
Except I'm a talented amateur.
Well, you could stop at know nothing about singing.
Well, I could choose to continue, but nevertheless. But how are they going to be head of creative or making decisions about who are the good wrestlers? I don't understand why any of these companies think that something like that will work. You don't. I'm not going to take my car to have the engine overhauled by a goddamn drywall guy, right? Everybody's got their purpose and everybody's got their speciality. But
is it wrong that I think it's less scary that these guys would have a hand in booking than Tommy Dreamer would have a hand in booking?
Unfortunately, no. It's not wrong to think that because I mentioned booked OVW for 5 weeks while I was on the wrong side of John Laurinaitis one time. And even the boys standing there doing the show couldn't understand what the fuck was going on. And as a matter of fact, after he booked his last show, I was coming back the next week. Danny Davis, he had created some mystery, and Danny Davis said, well, wait a minute, how's this going to fucking end? He said, you guys, you take it from there. What the fuck? But nevertheless.
That's learning from Heyman. That's what that is.
Well, and that's back when everybody, in those days, everybody, that Cornette, he just can't get along with that big executive John Laurinaitis. It's all Cornette's fault. He's a fucking hothead. Yeah, man. Anyway, nevertheless, you can't expect the boys to have any confidence when someone who is in charge of what they are going to be doing on television as themselves, and it affects them, and if it's shit, they get it on them, has never been in charge or even involved in any of that particular area of endeavor before in their fucking life. Are they going to come in and say, okay, creative team, you be creative and just call us if you need us? But it's not really a leader or somebody that's going to fucking give them a direction of something.
And you have to wonder if the reaction from talent would be what it was if Scott D'Amore was replaced by someone who was considered a wrestling person, maybe someone they had worked with, either elevate Delirious, like you said, or
there you go,
hire someone who has anything resembling a qualification for the job. Instead, if they knew that all of a sudden it was going to be two people from Anthem Corporate put in charge of the wrestling company, I can understand why people would be a little upset about that.
And again, I mean, it's never happened in actual fact, as Adrian Street used to say. It's never happened, but there is always the possibility that they could do the smart thing and say, okay, we own a wrestling company. We will oversee you people, but you do the fucking wrestling. And as long as the returns are somewhat positive in whatever metrics they're using, their financials and et cetera, then do what you're doing and explain it to us as we go along. And do you need another star? How much will that cost? What, that type of thing. but they all get the wrestling bug, or they all think they're either going to be Jim Herd, and they're going to fucking show these goddamn wild gypsies how to fucking be business people, or they're the Kip Fries and mark out for the performers and pay them twice as much as they should get to do the job they were hired for to begin with.
Well, if we're supposed to believe what we've been hearing, it may be the opposite, because it sounds like one of Scott D'Amore's issues, and we don't know exactly what the reason is still, was he wanted them to increase the budget. And to be honest, no matter what company you are, if you want to compete right now for talent, for good talent,
yeah,
you're competing against Tony Khan, who throws money against the wall. He doesn't give a shit. And then anyone else, if they want to be on a big stage, you got WWE, but it's hard to get talent right now. These guys may be there to cut budget severely and just say, you know what, we can get the same numbers and have the same success with a cheaper roster. Or you don't know. No one knows exactly what this will mean, or if it's just going to be everything holds steady forever.
Or they could, by what's that Discovery Network, the midget show is on. They could say, well, hey, they're doing better ratings than AEW.
Did you see that clip that someone sent on Twitter? Because I saw it a few times, of some of the action from that little person wrestling company. These guys could work. It was better than AEW. It was like they were getting massive pops from the audience for the simplest things. It was incredible.
I was afraid to watch it because I thought it'd be a bunch of fucking tables and garbage cans and shit. You mean it was actually halfway good?
I don't know. Whatever I saw, and I'm sure now you'll see it from a variety of places, the crowd was going nuts for like a hip toss. It was incredible. But I guess to wrap this up, we're talking about Dave Meltzer. Like you said, it became a story because he didn't acknowledge it. He deleted it. We'll see if he acknowledges it. The Observer has to be a different animal. It's hard to just do now a weekly summation of things, just like we deal with the podcast. There's so much happening.
Well, he could probably save about 2 or 3 hours of his valuable work time by not droning on into detail every time some independent girl wrestler in Japan farts. That would be a time saving for him. He could just stick to the goddamn meat of the matter of what we're discussing in the wrestling business here, but he does do a lot of sub-genre, very niche marketing for the dwindling audience that he retains.
So I guess in summation, there was no backstage angle filmed with Triple H and The Rock to set up a match at WrestleMania. AEW backstage have never gotten along better, and they've also never been more unhappy collectively.
They're making good time, but they're hopelessly lost.
And finally, Tommy Dreamer is not the new head of TNA Creative. And apparently he was never even asked about it.
Instead, it's Ariel Schnurr, who I'm sure trained at the knee of Eddie Graham.
Well, that was the update on a rough week for Dave Meltzer. He was trending all week for the wrong reasons, and I know it probably helps his business arguing with people, and his arguing is just like throwing back questions at them, like in a condescending manner. I don't really understand how productive that is. But it's hard to justify that shit when you're getting all this shit wrong in The Observer.
Well, and you talked about, Tony Khan promotes by throwing money at the wall, and Dave, he appeals to this dwindling audience who primarily he has created of the fans of the Buckaroos and their ilk, and he throws shit at the wall to see if anything sticks. And you know what? A lot of people today, Brian, in this uncertain economy, they're throwing shit against the wall to see if it sticks. And sometimes it sticks and sometimes it bounces back. But you know what they say? If you throw money at the wall and it don't bounce back, you go hungry, which is exactly why you should have an online store with Shopify. Because Shopify...
Yeah. Well, how'd you get there?
Yes.
But yes, I agree with you.
Well, talking about making money after you throw it up against the wall to see if it bounces back. And a lot of people these days are going hungry. Well, you're going to be bouncing all over the walls if you get hooked up with Shopify, folks, as partners, because Think about the team, the Venus and Serena, Pippen and Jordan, Gronk and Brady, Bockwinkel and Stevens, the perfect teammates down through the years when it comes to business. That's you and Shopify. Wait a minute. Hold on here. There you go. It says I got to put a sound effect in. And that's the thing. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, all the way from the conception stage to the actualization stage, and then to the realization stage, and then to the penalization stage, and finally to the criminalization stage, and then to the sentencing stage. They'll be with you every step of the way until you hit the big house and they turn around to find somebody else to partner with. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, which is up to 36% better compared to other leading commerce platforms. Do you know, Brian, if you have Shopify and somebody buys an item on your store for $10, it automatically jacks it up 36%. And you get actually $10 plus $3.60. You get $13. It says 36% better.
There is no jacking up of anything behind the scenes or behind the back of the consumer.
It converts the checkout. So once the consumer pays, and they just drain another 36%
no,
off.
They don't drain another 30.
That's right
not
to
how.
you.
No, we should not phrase it like that. They're not draining anything, and you friends won't be drained of anything when you use Shopify to power your small business. They are there to help you.
Yes.
Because you have a small business. You have a small staff. They're there to almost be like an entire staff.
Yes.
But they're not there.
But they're not. He wasn't even there. But it's up to 36% better. So you got that going. And Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. So right there, they're hooked up. 1 out of 10 people you see walking down the street, they're under the Shopify banner. So you can just walk up and exchange the secret handshake. And then you guys can start talking business because they're going to know yours and you're going to know theirs because you're all in this together. And Shopify's extensive help resources are there to support your success every step of the way. They can refer you to the best criminal defense attorneys. They can tell you which officials in your town that need to be paid off once that this whole scam comes to light. I'm telling you,
there's no scam.
Businesses that grow with Shopify.
Yes.
If they're not with Shopify, Shopify will lay the hammer down on you and you won't get any bigger because they take a dim view of people trying to compete with them.
You won't get any bigger.
On their side.
They will leave you alone if you're not working with them. They do not hound you or any kind of harassment or anything.
You won't know it's them, but God damn it. I'm just telling you, if you don't have them on your side, you don't have a good-looking future. You better not wear shades. But right now, you can find out what I'm talking about just as easy as pie right now if you sign up for a $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/JCE in the lowercase letters is what they are. And if you go to shopify.com, they're going to tell you everything there that they can do for you, whether you like it or not. If they tell you you need something done, by God, you just tell them, handle this. I don't know what I'm doing. And they'll tell you it's $1 a month. So what the fuck? You can pick that up off the goddamn street. Go through the couch cushions, ladies and gentlemen, and launch your new business. Courtesy of shopify.com/JC. You got to /JCE in all lowercase or elsewise you won't get the dollar deal. Shopify.com/JCE to grow your business no matter what stage you're in because they're going to make you money.
All right. They certainly will. Shopify, our friends, and they can help you.
Don't get on the wrong side of these pits. They've got some fucking guys that'll come see you.
Check them out today. Money.
Hey! Oh my God. You know what? Before we talk about the wrestling programs, I've realized we've gone this far in the show and I haven't given the people an update. Some of the people out there, the cult of Cornette, have sent me their money. And they need to know where their products are.
Yes, they do, Soupy.
Yes, the Midnight Express and Heavenly Bodies action figure tag team sets that went on sale on February the 10th, last week, as a matter of fact, last weekend. The first several hundred pictures have already been signed by yours truly, and I mentioned Hotchkiss has illness in the family, but he's a trooper and a warrior. And this week, He's going to be picking these pictures up and packing things. And by the next weekend, what is that, 25th-ish or whatever, the first couple of hundred packages should be ready to go out. And we will continue doing that until everyone has their merchandise, which is still available at jimcornette.com, the Eaton and Condrey version, the Eaton and Lane version, or Stan Lane and Dr. Tom Pritchard, the Heavily Bodies, as well as the last few hundred of the Midnight Express 4-packs right now at jimcornette.com. All of them come with an autographed picture. We've mentioned that. Some of them come with the Milestones Midnight Express booklet, and all of them suitable for displaying on your collective's shelves with the beautiful display boxes. That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. Your collective shelves will never be more full than they will once they have all of these many, many, many Midnight Express members and their many, many, many figures.
Everybody's wearing different shit in all these sets, too, by the way. The outfits are all different.
And you can wear whatever you want and buy them today at jimcornette.com. Jim, before we get to the other shows...
You don't have to wear anything. You don't have to wear anything at all when you buy these.